Today I'm going to do some sublimation on this dark cotton shirt. And the way we're going to do this is by using white glitter. And then I just cut out the wording out of regular vinyl. So first things first, we're going to move everything to the side to where we only have our mat. And we're going to cut out this part and weed it real quick. And while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and turn on our heat press. And I always, sorry that you're wiggling a little bit, let's do 385 for 60 seconds. And then I'm going to get my weeding tool and just go into this corner right here. Pull that off. No craft room, so find everything. Pull all of this extra off. Oh, I ripped that. Didn't actually go that far down. I was like, what's wrong with that? Okay. So there we go. And now what we are going to do is we are going to take a sheet of Teflon, and usually I keep one just for these kinds of works, but in getting everything reorganized I must have lost it, so I guess we're going to just grab a new one that is going to fit. I'll put this over to the side. So what you want to do is you want to apply your heat transfer vinyl to a Teflon sheet. Okay, let's see if it is hot enough now at 280. You can also just peel it off and stick it on there. You don't have to like actually press it on. But especially if you have like smaller pieces, pressing it on is just easier. We're going to keep this. We will use it again later. And now we are going to line up our sublimation transfer with the vinyl, which is always a little bit tricky. So it is easier if you cut it as exactly as possible. Sometimes not pressing it onto the Teflon makes this part a little bit easier, because then you can actually line up the smaller heat transfer vinyl with this portion. Okay. Let's see if that's going to be a little bit easier to line up. Yes, that is definitely much easier. And I've also found it to be easier if you make your vinyl just slightly smaller than your actual transfer. So that way you have some left over. It is going to sublimate onto this Teflon sheet, but we are not ever going to use this Teflon sheet ever again for any heat transfer stuff. We are only ever going to use it now after this to do sublimation portions on it. Because otherwise that leftover can actually go and get onto our other sheet. Okay. And really you won't know how well you lined it up until you pull it back off. So let's hope that I did this pretty well. But I think I did. And now we are going to go ahead and use a regular craft paper or something to put on top of this to protect our press. Like a a larger sheet of just paper that came with my IKEA furniture here. But that works perfectly. And then, as you heard, my press is ready. So we are going to put that on there and give it our 60 seconds. Okay, once we have given it those 60 seconds, we're going to take it off. Our paper's going to be burned. That's totally fine. We're going to remove our blowout paper. This is now trash. And then we are going to carefully remove our sublimation paper. We can see I was a little bit off down here. Could have moved everything down just a tad bit, but not too bad. It's turned out pretty well. I'm going to give this a moment to cool down so we can actually pull this off of here. Okay, in the meantime, we can go ahead and prepare our shirt by pre-pressing it and also turning down our temperature to our usual HTV application time and temperature. And I took our sublimated transfer off of the mat because the mat keeps the heat in. And now once this is cooled down, you can actually feel that you can easily peel this off. And how we're going to do that is by using our transfer tape again to make it a little bit easier, especially if you have smaller pieces. Just put that right back on and then peel it off. I just need to find like a little corner, and then once you have the little corner, it goes pretty easily. There you go. As you can see, it didn't really stick to this transfer tape too well. But since it's all one piece, we can just lay it back down. There we go. Now we have our colorful transfer. The press is still just a tad bit too hot. So you can see we have a little bit of color up here coming through. So I don't want to use this again for any shirts. Instead, I'm using a fresh new sheet for us to do this now. And while this is still cooling down, I'm going to figure out where I want to put this. Pressing it on real good again. And go probably about 3 down. Now we're going to try to make it as straight as possible, remembering that this is going to go right in here as well. And then you can see it's actually going pretty far down, so I don't want to put it too far down. Actually, you can't see, but there's not a lot of shirt left here. Okay. So the owl is actually in the original more like this. Okay. Now we're going to take our trusty measuring and make sure they're roughly the same distance away. Yep, perfect. 6 on each side. My temperature is now at 332, so it's a tad bit too high, but not too much. I'm going to remove this for our first press. Put our new sheet, our new Teflon sheet over. You can get them in like a 7 or 8 pack, so it's really not as bad if you use a couple for the sublimation portion. Okay, this is close enough. We're going to give it a quick press. Whoops, sorry about that. Still kind of trying to get used to this. Since we're not layering, we can hit it for pretty much the whole time. The bottom needs a little bit more. I could just feel that. So we're pulling it up a little bit. And then putting our words on there. And when we're doing our words, we're going to do the bottom portion a little bit longer anyways. Okay. Sometimes I'll lean on my easy press a little bit to give a little bit more pressure. I usually don't need to. Okay. Take that off. Remove that. And there we have it. Our sublimation on a dark shirt using our white glitter for the owl.